All right, everyone. We have a few new polls out with regards to President Donald Trump's approval ratings. They're pretty good. Given the circumstances, they almost couldn't be better. Hyper-political climate in which a lot of people have fled both the Democratic and Republican parties. So his cohort being about 50-50, link in the description, not archived. I've decided to stop archiving Real Clear Politics posts because they've apparently joined the archive everything movement, so I'm going to give them a kickback on this one. And there's a reason for that. They no longer have any meaningful whole aggregate competitor because they were the only ones that sort of got it right. It's one of the reasons that I got it right in the last election, by the way. And his approval is technically middling. It's about 50-50. Depends on the poll. Some of them are outliers. Some of them say it's plus 10. Some of them say it's negative 10. I tend to ignore those ones because quite clearly the methodology had to be flawed to arrive at that conclusion so far outside of the actual aggregated number. Given the circumstances, though, Trump is doing really fucking well. He must be pretty popular because between the hyper-partisan climate in which that would cohort would include a significant proportion of all the independent voters in the country, ideologically leaning or not, and probably at least a slice of liberal voters. And given the fact that he has 99% negative coverage about literally anything that he does, that's actually pretty goddamn impressive. Imagine this. You're managing to get half the population to support what you're doing, despite the fact that literally every network on TV and on radio is dead set against you. I mean, with a handful of small outliers. I mean, occasionally Fox and certain radio shows, that's basically all that Trump has on his side for legacy media. And then Missing Link Media, we'll be talking about Rolling Stone later, by the way, is almost completely against him. A lot of content creators, including those that are right-leaning, are against him, and yet he's breaking 50-50. That's impressive, actually. Can you imagine if Donald Trump was not adversarial to the legacy media? Can you imagine what his approval rating would be? If people that actually pay attention to TV programs anymore supported him, he'd probably be at 60% right now because he's doing a good job. You've got the release of the JFK files, promise made, promise fulfilled. You've got the border. He's proceeding with that. It'll take him a little bit of time to get, once the budget goes through, he gets the discretionary funding he needs to continue that. So that takes a little bit longer. You've got several diplomatic victories already, although they're not complete. It'll, again, take time because that's the way diplomacy works. And he's promising even more tax breaks. I like how the liberals say, well, we don't need more tax breaks. That'll just raise the deficit. Oh, the deficit that you ignored for 4 years. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Nobody cares about the deficit these days. That was a big debate like 10 years ago. You're living in the past quite literally. I care about the deficit myself, but lowering taxes is not a problem if you slash the size of government. Oh, there's another victory for Donald Trump. The whole Doge thing is working very, very well. The liberals have resorted to a desperate tactic at this point to try to stop Donald Trump. Lawfare. They've resorted to the judiciary because they can't do anything in the legislative sense. They don't control the executive branch. They don't control enough states to override things. So they're resorting to a dual tactic. Go to the judiciary and fortify the blue states that they do control and try to make a mess. Now we see leftists are getting violent again. What a surprise, by the way. That'll be the next video that I make. What a surprise. Leftoids are attacking Tesla owners and burning their cars? Who would have thought that that could ever be a thing? It's like the summer of love all goddamn over again. It happens formulaically. Who would have predicted this? Myself and literally every one of you probably could have guessed. That's not exactly a prediction at all at that point. It's more like a statement of fact preemptively. His job approval, given the situation, is actually pretty good. above, I believe, where Joe Biden was at the same point in his term, if I remember correctly. He had a higher swing during his honeymoon period, but it very quickly faltered because he wasn't doing anything. With Trump, it's remained very much stable. That is, that since he's taken the presidency, he's neither seen a significant rise nor a significant dip. It's much more stable overall. If you're above 45 in this day and age, you're doing pretty well because, again, of the hyperpartisan climate. And keep in mind, some of these polls also have an indifference index. That is, that the person neither approves nor disapproves, they just do not care. And so they claim indifference. And so you don't have a 100% cohort even within the polling. It tends to even out generally speaking, but not always. And again, some of these polls are, of course, outliers. I would say that Trump so far is doing better than he did in his first term. In his first term, and he learned from his mistake, he tried to appease the Uniparty. He figured, look, I've been palling around with all of these rich and empowered people for a considerable length of time. Certainly, if I give them an olive branch and say, look, don't worry, I'm president of the United States, but don't worry, I'm not going to rock the boat too hard, that they will work with me. And it didn't happen. Instead, they all turned on him like rabid wolves. He learned from that. And especially over the lawfare period of the last 4 years, he learned even more. And he said, why should I work well with you? Why should I be nice? No, I'm going to be an asshole to you. Fuck you. And so he decided to stack his cabinet with people who are effectively unipartyist outsiders or former unipartyists and call it a day. That's why he's being so effective, and that's why the left, by the way, is resorting to the judiciary. It is the only force capable of stopping Trump in any meaningful fashion. If you don't have the legislature or the executive branch, there's only one other branch of government that you can resort to. It is a desperate last step, and it shows weakness, not strength. This litigation will continue probably in some cases for literal years. You can get a misdemeanor charge and 6, 7 months later you still haven't even gone to trial. How much more when it's a national security issue or something like that? Well, it takes a little bit longer now, doesn't it? When the charge is more, more meaningful or the civil case is literally a constitutional issue, something like that takes a little time. So I would advise Trump fans, be patient. It's going to take him time. Hopefully, I think I know what the Dems' plan is. They're hoping to punt these cases past the midterms, take the legislature, and switch over to a legislative sort of defensive strategy. That's what they're trying to do. Bog him down, alienate his fans, the people that actually support his agenda, by cock blocking his agenda, and then insinuating that he's done something wrong that prevented the agenda from going through. That's what they're doing. It's quite clear what their strategy is. It couldn't be more black and white. I advise you not to take the black-pilled bait. That's about all. Peace out.